One of the challenges of traveling the world filming our tiny house tours is managing money on the go. That's where Revolut comes in. It's an all-in-one travel app with over 50 million customers worldwide, and you can get $40 when you sign up and spend using my link. With their multi-currency travel card, I can spend in over 150 currencies without worrying about exchange rates. Revolut does the conversion for me at great rates. Plus, I can get travel data from just $2 with an eSIM directly through the app, so that's one less thing I need to organize when I land. You can also set up custom budgets for spending while you're traveling or at home. If you're a traveler like me, you can check out Revolut. It's like my travel sidekick. Get $40 when you sign up and spend using the link below. Thanks Revolut for sponsoring this video and helping to make what we do possible. In today's culture, we spend so much of our lives working for our homes that it's easy to forget that our homes are supposed to work for us. And this next beautiful story is a great reminder of that. We're about to meet a woman who has designed the most beautiful, nurturing tiny home that really takes care of her. Hi Marianne, it's so nice to meet you.
Thank you, and you. Yes.
What an adorable home you have here.
Yes, I'm enjoying it.
I bet you are. First of all, I absolutely love the way that you've painted this.
It was to cover up the colour choices. I never liked the original green, so I decided to cover it up a bit. In fact, I've done all the painting inside and outside, but the mural, I'm no artist, so...
Oh, I don't know about that.
So I started on the back and gained a bit of momentum, but yeah, it was just to cover up the colour.
Yeah, I think it looks great. And you've evolved past stick figures, so that's more than I can say about myself.
There's no people on there, I can't paint people.
Well, it definitely matches the landscape here, doesn't it?
Yes. What do we call them? Ghost gums.
Ghost gums.
Yeah, we have them around us. So yeah, trees are my thing.
Yeah.
So I love trees.
And you are certainly in the perfect spot for that, aren't you?
Absolutely.
Speaking of your parking spot, this place is an absolute dream. What an outlook you've got here.
Yeah, and we see all the seasons because right now we've got all the leaves on the trees, but in winter it looks quite desolate,
Yeah.
but it's all good still.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is just such a spectacular area as well, having the beautiful mountain ranges in the backdrop. Yeah. Wow, this is quite an imposing landscape, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good. There's always something to do, always somewhere to drive to or walk.
And looking around me here, I can see that you are a very avid gardener.
Yeah, I don't know what most things are called, but hey, if they grow, I'm with it. It's like, yep. And a lot of them self-sown.
Really?
Yeah. So
lovely.
Cherry tomatoes come up every year. I love that.
I just love gardens. It just sort of creates this explosion of colour, and nothing makes a house feel cozier quicker than a beautiful garden around it, right?
I 100% agree, but I thought I was here temporarily, so I didn't do anything, hence a whole lot of pots, and yeah, I'm going with it.
And your tiny house, this is absolutely adorable. Can you talk to me about your journey into tiny house living?
Well, we can blame you.
Oh no!
Remember that video you guys did years and years ago, and the little tiny was called Lucy? So long ago. It's like, I have no idea how long ago that was.
That was actually my very first tiny house tour.
I've been there since the beginning. Then.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, watching you guys and also other stuff. And it just got me thinking. And then I investigated what to build it out of, and I was listening to all the different people going, oh, we've done timber frame, we've done metal frame, and we've done this chassis, or we've done that chassis. So I literally went through and made my own decisions based on everything I was learning online, and got the chassis built locally in the next town over, which was a laugh because when I showed up, the guy, he had no idea what a tiny house on wheels, but luckily his wife and daughter were there in the office doing bookkeeping or something, and they knew all about it. And they jumped on it. Oh, Dad, yes, you've got to do this. It's a thing. So he built the chassis and I just gradually paid for it. So I had no money when I started, and it's there was no budget for it. So I went with 6 structurally insulated panels, fibro cement, and they've got, this is girl speak, 10 centimetres, or man speak, 100 millimetres of foam sandwiched between 2 fibro cement sheets. And that's the walls, the floor, and the roof.
Right.
So insulation's good.
It certainly would be.
And the windows are double glazed. So all these decisions made from watching other people's videos.
Well, yeah, it's so good to have all of those resources now there just to be able to pull from and pick which ideas you like and what gets you excited. And I think the resulting home looks really wonderful.
Yeah. And it's an early one. So it's only small. It's only 6 metres.
Really?
Yeah. You know, I look at all the tiny McMansions, all the ones that are double the length and twice the height.
Tiny homes are getting big
They're
nowadays,
huge.
aren't they?
And
Yeah.
they're great. I watch the videos and go, wow.
Yeah.
But I sit there and go, oh, well, I'm in this little one.
I think if you are the sort of person that can really downsize your life and get into a tiny house, then there are so many advantages to this. It makes parking them so much easier. It means transporting them are so much easier. If you do want to frequently move, there are definitely advantages to going smaller.
Yeah, for sure. Because I was living in a 3-bedroom house, comfortable, good rent, as in low rent. I didn't want to move from there, and I didn't need to until we had that international health scare. And my landlords decided they wanted their escape into the country from the lockdowns.
Right.
So suddenly I needed somewhere to live, and they timed it smack on the finished product of my tiny house.
Well, what
which was
fortunate
good of them.
timing. Yeah.
Downsizing from a 3-bedroom house. Yeah, I'm not a minimalist. I now know that.
Hence the shipping container.
Yes, so I have a spare 6-metre shipping container. I've got a she shed. Yeah.
Very nice. And I think that is one of the things that, for me, I just love about tiny homes is it does give people this level of security. It's small, it's simple, it's enough, but it's enough. And when you're pushed against a wall in a scenario like that, having something like a tiny house to fall back on, I just think is the most beautiful thing.
Yeah, no, it saved my bacon. It really did. Because I needed to stay local. I had an elderly mother in care here. And then it was a big talk to all the neighbours everywhere around because I only moved a kilometre from where I was. So yeah, had my feet firmly planted here.
Yeah. Well, amazing that you didn't have to leave the community that you love.
No, exactly.
And you've got solar power and rainwater collection here as well.
I do. It's not a huge rainwater collection. It's only a 1,000-litre plastic container. I can't remember what they're called. But that works. And then, you know, when things are dry, which it was this last winter, I just fill up from mains. I've got a really long hose, which I take over to the main house. And I've also got a connection to mains power if I want to run my oven or my distiller, because I distill my water. I fiddle around with water like that. So yeah, otherwise, everything runs off the solar, except for 2 items and a heater in winter as well. I run that off mains. And the panels are on top of the shipping container and the batteries are over in my little shed space.
Yeah.
So, to keep all that EMF away from the house. So I'm not trying to sleep on top of batteries.
Yeah, very clever. And it is awesome that you've got the best of both worlds too.
Yeah.
You've got all the benefits of being off the grid, but just to have that backup of the mains connection as well, I think it's really great.
So I had the panels going for years before that. I was actually running them down in that 3-bedroom house. I was just cutting my bills. And in country, so blackouts happen often.
Yeah.
And my daughter thought it was pretty damn good that we were the only ones with internet when everybody else was in blackout. So winning as a mum.
Absolutely.
So yeah, no, big brownie points for that one.
Yeah. What does your daughter think of the tiny house?
She was 16 when I started. So you can imagine, teenagers going, yeah, whatever. But, you know, when I had to move into it, she was the one with the most encouragement. It's like, Mum, you know, this is fantastic. You're living the best life. And I was struggling. It was hard to downsize, or the family stuff, all the furniture, all the things.
Yeah.
And yet I knew I had to, but it wasn't easy. Where we were living, the tiny house would have stayed in the spare block, which is part of what I was renting already, where I'd built it. My daughter and I were discussing Airbnb-ing it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and yeah, that changed on a... Yeah.
Yeah.
But as it said, it's thank goodness.
Yeah.
And so all I can say is intuition. It started in 2016. Intuition said, yeah, let's do this. It will come in handy. And I didn't think twice and just kept going and kept pushing. I had a sense of urgency all the time, which was a bit weird and a bit strange. But I understand it in retrospect.
Yeah. Vindicated now.
Yeah.
Well, you really are in just such a wonderful spot. And this tiny house is so cute. I cannot wait to see what you've done on the interior. Can we check it out?
Yes, let's do that.
Let's do it. This place is absolutely charming. What I immediately love about it is it's just such a wonderful, eclectic collection of all of these treasures.
Yeah, I've had a lifetime of collecting them. Family, bits and pieces, memorabilia, treasures, plants. Got to have plants.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, you've got the little kitten there too.
Yes, the kitten, she's 8 weeks old today.
Oh,
So she's just come to my home.
how sweet. What's her name?
Ginger. Although I think I've given her a surname. I think she's Ginger Latte.
Ginger Latte.
Yeah, I'm sure that's the other colour she has.
That totally works. Oh, she's absolutely adorable and perfect size for the tiny house right now too.
Yeah.
And again, I absolutely love the way that you've styled this home. The plants in here, the books, the crystals, all of these wonderful treasures. You have curated all of this so beautifully.
No, I thank you. I've been here 3 years, 10 months. I looked it up. And so, yeah, plenty of time to tweak what works where. And I've got treasures. we're here doing a material life. Might as well jump in.
Great philosophy. And that's so right. I think there is this kind of misnomer that just because you live in a tiny house, it means that you have to be ultra minimalist. But that's really not true, is it?
No. I've kept all the small things. The inherited furniture, all the big stuff went to my brother. And I just quickly grabbed all the little bits.
And this is a tiny house that looks deceivingly simple because you have got a lot going on in this space, don't you?
Yeah, and plenty of time to plan it. I could change my plans and redesign. Back then, a lot of the lofts were accessed with ladders, not stairs.
True.
So I was looking at the stair ideas, and I've had both my hips replaced. But it's a case of, no, that's not going to work for me, long-term, future-proofing.
Yeah.
And I remember I was designing it entirely around myself, very narcissistic type.
As you should be when designing a tiny house, though.
Self-centered process, which is very healing, I'm sure.
Well, it also needs to be in order to make the space work. If
Yeah.
you're not self-centered when you're designing your own home, then when are you going to be?
And I didn't have to share that concept with anyone. I was doing it for myself, by myself. So it's very much a single person's home. So yeah, I'm looking forward to showing you all the moving parts.
Well, let's get right into it. First of all, let's start with this lounge area because, again, there looks like there is a tremendous amount going on here.
So the lounge area obviously doubles up as a bed. I leave it up as a lounge, but that's a double mattress that comes down. That's where my daughter sleeps, and her cat travels with her as well, so that's where they sleep.
Right.
And then everything down here, there's all storage, table, bench seats, bed.
All right, so the table pulls out from there, does it?
Sure does. It's the depth of that whole bench.
Right.
It comes right out. So do the bench seats, and there's a bed underneath, and the bed comes right out here too.
So that's where you sleep,
That's
on
the one I
that bed.
choose to sleep, yeah.
Right.
Especially in summer because it's cooler down lower. 3 years in, I don't muck around. I know it works.
Yeah,
So that's my bed down the bottom.
great. And it looks like you've got a bit of an office set up down there.
Mate, there's office, there's printers, plural, and on that side, and then this side's all craft and creative.
Great.
Yes.
I like that. It certainly looks like a lot of storage that you've got in there.
It's massive. I've tweaked it since I've lived here. It was actually starting to sag, the weight.
Right.
So I got stuck into it. It's now got metal bars, steel bars going across to hold the weight better. And so I shrank the storage drawers. But when I was
Right.
painting them, I felt like I was painting coffins. Honestly, they were that deep. That was huge.
Always good to have space to hide bodies away in tiny homes.
Just in case you need
Just
to.
in case, you never know. And that lounge, I think that would have to be one of the most compact and hyper-functional spaces that I've ever seen in a tiny house.
Good, because that's the plan. What wasn't the plan was I had to get rid of everything. And the only furniture I had left in the house, the 3-bedroom house, was this moving office chair. So it ended up coming with me. And in actual fact, I spend my sitting time on this one chair.
Really?
So I don't sit up on the couch. That's for visitors.
Okay.
So you're welcome to sit on it.
Well, thank you.
So this office chair, which I've since recovered because it was very daggy, was a $5 op shop chair, which now looks $1 million. That's my comfort chair. It's my work chair. It's my breakfast chair. It's everything chair.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. And over here you've got more storage behind you?
Yes, you've got to have a bookshelf.
Yep.
Got to have shelves for knickknacks. And there's more books out in the shipping container, of course.
Yeah.
So these are just the important books.
Yeah. Well, some books are real
Some of them
treasures,
you're going to
aren't they?
recognise. There's a bit of Tolkien down there, and
The essentials.
yeah.
Yep,
I know. And then
absolutely.
there's June because my daughter's named after the character out of there, and yeah. What can I say? You've got to have these books.
A fellow fantasy nerd. I'm right there with you.
Yep.
I love that. And the design of this kitchen, it looks very compact but still hyper functional.
Yep, it's all jammed in there. So storage was really high on my list. Every pot and pan I need, except for like preserving time, I go and get the really big pot from the shipping container. But yeah, no, everything else is there.
Wow. Beautiful tile work in there as well.
I chose them from a store locally. I think they're from India.
Right.
Hand painted or crafted or something or other.
Beautiful. And you've got one of those ceramic water filters too.
Absolutely. I'm right into filtering and playing around with water for optimal health benefits.
Very important. And then I see you've got the compact oven there as well.
That little oven does air frying and everything. It's one of those little ovens that does toasting, the whole shebang, and so everything else was built around the oven.
Wonderful. You've got the 2-burner stove as well.
That's where most of the cooking happens, especially boiling the kettle for lots of cups of tea.
Fantastic. And the compact fridge too.
So there's a fridge and a freezer, and they're both under bench, and it's heaps for me. That's all I need.
Yeah. How do you find the space practically works for cooking?
You don't move much. You stand in one spot.
Yeah.
And I step back to open the fridge. That's about it. And there's a pantry as well. So yes, I have to turn around to access the pantry.
Gotcha. And your bench top expands?
Yes, it does. I dropped that because we're doing visitors in the tiny house today.
Uh-huh.
And also summer, so the door opens right up, but often it's just up all of the time.
Nice to have that bit of extra prep space.
More dumping ground. It's the out tray.
Fair enough too. One thing I noticed though is that your sink is extremely small, isn't it?
It's fine. It's a small, tiny house. It only needs a small sink.
Oh, but you couldn't get a big pot in that.
You can actually with practice.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know, right? I was ready for this question. I'd love to prove to you that you don't need a massive sink.
Okay, I'm going to look forward to that one. It does look very cute and compact there in the corner of the kitchen though.
It is. And it actually, as you'll work out, it also doubles as a basin. So I really did minimise the build. It's because it's right next to the bathroom.
Fair enough too. Yeah, absolutely. And so do you enjoy cooking?
I can cook. It's not high on my list of things to do, hence the tiny kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
No, crafts and being creative, writing. I do a lot of creative stuff, all sorts of different things. So this end of the house is my go-to zone. That end is necessity, like I need a cup of tea.
Right. Fair enough too. Cooking can be creative as well though.
Yeah, for some.
For some, absolutely. The design of all of the cabinetry is really cool, and I love the little handles that you've put on all of the cabinets as well. They're so cute.
And completely not necessary considering they're all push soft closing drawers.
Well, they still look great.
And I know. But hey, I could afford them during the early days. That was part of materialising the goal, as in start building, And what I was doing was collecting the doorknobs.
Right. Well, you've got to start somewhere.
Got to start somewhere. And the chassis probably at the same time was being built. But yeah, and all those cupboards are very specifically built around. So like the bottom drawer fits the rubbish bin that I already had. And then the top drawer obviously fits around the little sink. And there's extra shelves because, you've got to fit more in your cupboards.
Yes, you do.
So.
And I love what you've done with your bathroom too. I am obsessed with Riverstone floors.
That was a builder mistake. When the shower tray went in, it got broken and I didn't have the wherewithal to sort of say, oops, we have to stop the build. We have to replace that. And as a result, I had a leak. And I resolved that by cutting out the tray, but I couldn't cut it all out because it's all part of the lining of the shower. So what I did was I put down the river stones with a waterproof over it just in case, which is overkill.
Right.
But hey, I've already had the leak and the mould that was under it, which has all been cleaned out. But yeah.
Yeah, wow.
So now it's very functional and you get a foot massage while you have a shower.
A happy mistake then, because it looks absolutely wonderful. I really like the way that you've included the shower dome as well.
The shower dome's in there and it pokes up into a cupboard.
Right.
It's more storage space, so hence why it's got a pretty cloth over it, a nice piece of fabric to make it look cute. I don't actually call it a bathroom, by the way, because it doesn't have all the things a bathroom normally has.
Right, what do you call it then?
I don't know, but it's a shower toilet maybe.
A shower toilet room then?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's too small to be a bathroom. So I literally was going with that minimal build thing and just made it big enough for a shower/toilet. It's like whichever you need to use, it works.
Yeah, fair enough too.
It's a wet room.
Yep.
There we go. There's what I call it from
The wet
now
room.
on.
And what kind of toilet do you have there?
It's compost, but the bucket kind.
Right.
And I know lots of people do fancy stuff with their bucket. Mine just has dirt. And then I worked out the best way for the urine was to actually drill a hole in the floor. So I now have a pipe going through to the 15-litre bottle or whatever it is outside.
Oh yeah, it's a great way of doing it.
Too easy.
Yeah. And then you've put your laundry on the front of the trailer, haven't you?
Yes, out on the drawbar. And that was built around the size of my washing machine.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this really is such a compact, tiny house, but you absolutely have everything you need here, don't you?
I have a huge wardrobe we haven't mentioned, but you've been standing beside this whole time.
That's what this is. I thought it was going to be a pantry. Okay.
No, the pantry's the next one along.
Well, alrighty then.
And it's huge. It's literally ceiling to floor.
Wow. And what's this red thing you've got here?
That's a room divider, in case I've got visitors, so that, if we come out of the shower, we want a bit extra space, a bit of privacy.
What a good idea. So you've been living here in the tiny home for over 3 years now.
Close to 4 years.
Close to 4 years?
Yeah.
How is life in the tiny home working out for you?
Ideally. I haven't had to move. Yeah, no, it's worked out really well.
Yeah.
It was a struggle initially. Ego, didn't like downsizing. I felt like I'd failed or something. I really had to adjust.
Right.
That wouldn't be true for everyone. It just was true for me. I needed to resolve my life anyway. Things weren't going so well. And this turned out to be the absolute ideal for me because I don't have to pay high rent. I didn't have to maintain a 3-bedroom house, and I could stop looking for work.
Yeah.
Yay, because it's never suited me. Yes, I've had lots of different jobs and lots of different careers, and I've achieved incredible goals in my lifetime, but I hate it.
Yeah.
The whole concept of working 9 to 5 has never worked for me. I've been mostly self-employed, but so I needed just to stop. And that was the best thing I could do for myself, and I've been able to do it.
Yeah. And that difference as well between renting a home and owning your own space, how's that transformation been?
Oh, it's great. I have owned homes before, but they were for investment. To me, this is not about owning a house because it's not that big. It's not a normal house.
Yeah.
It's life-saving. I don't know how to explain it. It's just created a whole lot of space in my life to just be.
I think that's really appropriate to how a lot of people feel out there in the world right now. A lot of people are sort of trapped in jobs and working for systems that don't necessarily inherently nourish our spirits as human beings. We don't live in spaces that are conducive to actually truly enhancing the quality of our life. We live in beautiful homes, often sizable, that are detrimental, in fact, to our quality of life. And I think that's something which I've always loved so much about tiny homes. And I think it's one of the things that really initially really made me resonate with the idea of living in a tiny house, is coming to that understanding of when you are willing to downsize and when you're willing to decrease those overheads and all of those pressures that you place upon yourself in life, it creates room for so much more.
Yeah, I think you're meeting the real me. That if we'd have met 5 years ago, the anxiety, I was having panic attacks, the whole shebang.
Yeah.
Even though I've had a very successful life, I was falling apart at the seams.
Yeah.
So I'd achieved all the goals in the material world or in the rat race, but none of it was working for me. It wasn't fixing anything, and it was just accumulating drama.
Yeah.
So I don't get the panic attacks. They subsided after probably 6 months here. The nosebleeds, touch wood, have stopped.
Wow.
Because that's taken longer for that to disappear. But
what was causing that?
Well, I'd just say stress, just the anxiety, just literally needing time to heal. And I don't think any of us give ourselves 3 years to heal anything.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, most people don't give themselves 3 weeks to heal anything.
Yeah.
I'm going to be giving myself the rest of my life to heal.
I love that sentiment.
Tiny house living has totally impacted my life in so many ways that I could not foresee. I designed it on a whim. And then suddenly I found myself living in it. Putting me first by not seeking work, not seeking to do anything because I pay ridiculously low rent to park here. That just took all the weight off my shoulders because I was struggling. I was struggling to fit into the rat race, and it was having really adverse effects on my health. And I knew that's what the cause was, but I was struggling. And I'm just, I'm really glad that we live in Australia because we have an infrastructure that supports us financially and health-wise, et cetera, et cetera. So, I was able to reach out and get some help. And meantime, I'm in a tiny house. So the actual help was this living small, completely shrinking my life, took all the overwhelm, took away all the external factors that were causing me problems. And I could focus on, all I need is a cup of tea.
You said that when you started this journey, you come into it with no budget, just chipped away at things as time went on, and now here you are. Can we talk about the cost that was involved in realising this dream?
Yeah, I'm a bookkeeper, so I kept all the details. Give it down to the cent. But it was about $66,000 to do the build and those couple of renovations. And then I've got solar as well, and I'd already had that, so that was always a thing. So about 71 all up.
Wow. So you mentioned the renovations as well, and that's such a nice reminder as well, because I think, again, when building tiny homes, people often think that they have to get everything perfect the first time. And just like any home, you can make modifications, you can change the space to fit and work better for you over time.
Yeah, well, how were we supposed to know that we were bridging a way too big a gap, creating a cabinet that had to sort of go across a double bed, the length of a double bed? Well, it turns out that was just a bit much.
Yeah. And so now you're obviously very well settled into your home. You've been here coming up on 4 years now. What does the future hold for you?
The future is staying here until eventually I decide I can retire into town.
Right.
Because I live in an area where there's a really cool retirement town. I mean, not village, a town, a whole town set up for retirement.
Nice.
So that's where I'll end up eventually.
Well, until that time, what a beautiful home you've created for yourself here. This really is just such a special place. I love all of the character that you have built into this home. And more than that, I just love what it's done for you in your life. I love the health that it's brought to you, the healing that it's brought to you, and just all of the options that it's given you. Thank you so much for sharing your beautiful home with me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. It really is.
Marianne has created the most beautiful home for both her and Ginger Latte here. I absolutely love so many of the design choices in this home and just how perfectly curated all of this tiny home is for Marianne and her needs. But more than that, I think this is a masterclass in understanding what's really important for us in our spaces to nurture ourselves as human beings. I think Marianne's approach to this tiny home and the way that she's now doing life is a valuable lesson to all of us.